Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Gang, it is time to buckle up because I think that everything that is happening around the globe is coming to our shores. As I told you on, what was it, Friday or Thursday, the seasons are changing. Here's people in Europe. There's civil unrest and people are taking to the streets over the austerity cuts, which will cause people to lose their jobs, but it is necessary, the cuts that must be made. And unions and communists are refusing to back down. Now they're starting to inflame the middle class. Trouble in Europe. Even the UN said last week that the global unemployment crisis will stir social unrest, including here in the United States. And economists are now warning that the world is becoming unstable. Now, mounting chatter by jihadi extremists has Europe bracing for another terrorist attack. Can you imagine what a large terrorist attack would do now to Europe and the world's economy? And the border here in the United States, the violence in Mexico is still out of control. First, in the last few days, you've had a tourist shot by drug cartel pirates while jet skiing on a border lake in Texas. And then there was an explosion that injured 15 people, including half a dozen kids as young as 3 years old. What is really frightening is the thing that I think most people is missing. They are missing now that the drug cartels are reportedly targeting civilian population to, quote, cause chaos. Why would you do that? Well, what you're seeing is what we've been talking about in this book for, what, the last year and a half, The Coming Insurrection. We are at the beginning of the seasons changing. So we have to decide as a people, how are we going to tackle these problems? There is a choice. In Europe, it's the labor unions and the communists pushing the protests. Speaking of which, that choice is being presented to us as well at the foot of the Lincoln Memorial this weekend in Washington, D.C. We were presented with a similar choice. We'll compare and contrast 828 and what happened this weekend with 10-210, but we'll only use the facts and pictures. Next. Hello, America. I want to tell you that we have some pretty shocking video for you at the bottom of the hour that was placed on the Blaze earlier this morning, and it is horrifying, absolutely horrifying. And we'll show it to you, but I warn you, this is a show you want to TiVo if you have kids in the room and you want to see it first. All right, I'm going to start here with what happened over the weekend. And in fact, let me start with the chalkboard. I want to ask you a question that I asked you last week. Who are we? Who are we? It's critical that you know the answer to this question yourself, because you really are the leader. We're looking for another great leader. Well, that's you. It's critical that you know these answers yourself. It's more critical that you even get others to start thinking about their answer to this question. Who are we as people? Are we really just about the money? Are we willing to do anything for money or security? How many people do you know that are living in la-la land, are completely oblivious as to what's coming ashore? They have no idea. I fear too many. And yet, we are being presented with a choice. It will come down someday. At this point, we'll look back in history, and the world will say, how did they miss this? Here are the questions, and here's the choice. Do we believe in a free market, or do we believe in government-controlled entities? Do we believe in hard work or handouts, personal responsibilities or bailouts, individual liberty or controlled liberty? Which is it? Is America made up of problem solvers or whiners? Haven't we always been the first ones to lead by example and respond with money, food, and support when disaster strikes another country? We're always the first in. We're the ones that run into burning buildings, not out of them. We're the first to come to the rescue of other countries when they're facing adversity. When the world was facing communism, it was the United States that defeated it. When the world was facing fascism, it was the United States that helped defeat it. Do we still believe in that America? Are we still the America that did go to the moon? Or are we the America that's believing the moon landing deniers now and saying, oh, well, we never did that. Is America special? Is it different from the rest of the world? Is God done with the freedom that we have enjoyed in this country? Is he neutral? Is he like, whatever? Is he? Is the world no longer in need of miracles like rescuing Afghanistan citizens, particularly women? As much as I despise the fact that our men and women are still over in Afghanistan fighting this ridiculous war at this point, do you know how much good we have done? You know how many women and girls we have saved from brutal regimes that have allowed the women of rape just because they were walking down the street, they could rape them? Is America done? Are we done? Does America have any value left anymore? Or has the ship sailed? You know, it's one thing for America to collectively decide that we're tired of bailing out the world, and I am, man. I am so sick and tired of being the world's policeman. But let me ask you this. What happens when America is no longer able to help? Who does the world turn to then? When the United States doesn't have any clout, any power, and we can't say anything anymore, who does the world turn to? Canada? No offense, Canada. I love you. You may be the one that has to step into the role now. Is Canada capable of doing it? Australia? England? They got their hands full. They're on the verge of collapse. I mean, you could go to the UN. They're great at strongly worded letters, but how many Rwandas have to happen when America doesn't lead the way before we figure out the UN is useless? Where would we be? Where would the world be without an America? Who's going to replace us? China? Brazil? You see, when you look at this and you realize that to those who have been given much, much is required. Not expected, required. Isn't it our moral responsibility to pass on freedom to the next generation? To pass on an America that is at least capable of providing liberty for its people? People will, and have already, including our president, have begun to blame America for all the problems of the world. I just saw this in Bloomberg today. It has been 3 years since America began dragging the world into its deepest recession in 7 decades. It was America that did that? We did that. It was just us. See, they're already blaming it on us. And what are they going to do? What is the world going to do? First of all, are they going to punish us? It's our fault. I've told you this before, that we're going to be set up as the bad guys. It's our fault. So if we did it to everybody else, don't you think every third world dictator, everybody in the world, so they don't get thrown out of office, are going to say it's America's fault? Let me ask you this. Do they forgive our trespasses as we have forgiven others their debts? I don't think so. And what's their solution? Besides punishment, or to make sure that we pay, do you know that Germany just paid the debt for World War I? They just made the last payment last week for World War I. You think they're going to ever get off our backs and stop taking stuff from us? No. No one will forgive us. Their solution is global government or socialism or communism, which have failed over and over and over again. I've told you time and again that the question is not, do we have communists and revolutionaries and socialists around the president and the White House? The real question that we should have been asking from the very beginning is, does it matter that we have communists in and around the White House? Because we already know the answer now to the first one, and it is yes. But here's what I said over a year ago. Or maybe not. Do we have it? The lesson I learned was we must ask the right question, and I apologize to you. I've been asking the wrong question. Will we start today? The one that we should have been asking at the beginning was, okay, if it is true, does it matter? You see, the same thing is repeating itself over and over and over again. These are Marxists. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. For almost a year now. Ask yourself, if it were true, would it matter? Somebody here at Fox told me we should have bumper stickers that says, this is about 2 years ago, what if Glenn Beck is right? Does it matter? The answer to the does it matter question apparently is a resounding no, because over the weekend there was a rally in Washington, D.C. And it was for one nation. Well, we showed you the list of all the groups that endorsed the event and they were planning on attending. There they are, the one nation working together. And they were working together. I was accused of making stuff up when I said communists were planning to head on down to the mall in Washington, D.C. But it wasn't some conspiracy. I came back the next day and I pointed out the facts. And I showed you, here they are, Communist Party, New York Democratic Socialists of America, Socialist Organization. I mean, it's just campus progressives. This is it. I came on and I showed you the list. I showed you all the links on their own websites. I showed you what they were saying. They were all organizing for it. Well, the next night, I guess, I was told that it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Now even the people who organized this said that it didn't matter. When the president of the NAACP was asked about the communist and socialist groups attending, he said, quote, "This is a big tent. Anyone who wants to stand up to create jobs and defend the jobs of teachers, police officers, nurses, firefighters, I say, come on and join us." Communists? Communists. Revolutionaries. People who have called for the destruction of America. You're okay? What kind of jobs are they creating? Does it matter, America? The radicals showed up. Oh, they did. How do I know this? Well, I mean, it's one thing, you know, to say, hey, I think that guy might be a socialist. It's another when they're carrying giant signs bragging about it. Here they are. Socialism is an alternative. Capitalism is failing. Capitalism sucks. This is a scary group. I mean, they're not ashamed of the fact. They are embracing these ideologies. But I guess they should be, right? Socialism and communism has failed every time they've ever been tried. They end every time in mass murder, so why not? Why not? This is the exact antithesis of the principles America was founded on. But our children and these guys don't know because they're not taught this in school anymore. No one is taught about the evils of socialism or communism. We were founded on the exact opposite principles as this. And yet, they're excited about it. Chanting. All right. There were over 400 progressive special interest groups that brought their signs and their T-shirts. I want to compare and contrast the crowds. Their signs. What were they wearing? What were they wearing over the weekend? And what was the crowd wearing at 828? America, I want you to ask a question. Which group best represents a brighter future for America? Is it this one? Or is it this one? At 828, there weren't any signs because the people who came weren't professional protesters or agitators. They came for the day. They're regular working stiffs, moms and dads, people just like you who just care about America and who are willing to do the hard work and are concerned about their country. This isn't a group of freaks. These are your neighbors.